The city of Darwin was silent. Not the normal kind of silence, but the heavy, choking kind that made the air feel thick. The streets were empty, except for the slow movement of alien patrol drones. Their red lights swept over broken walls and burnt-out cars searching for any human foolish enough to be outside. Inside a dark basement, a group of people sat close together. A single candle burned, its flame shaking in the cold draft. "Don't make a sound," whispered an older man. His eyes kept darting toward the door. "They're scanning the area." A little boy named Kian hugged his mother's arm. "Mama, will they find us?" His voice was so small, it was almost lost in the dark. "No," she whispered, forcing a smile she didn't feel. "Stay close." Outside, a loud crack echoed through the air, a speaker system activating. A deep, cold voice spoke in the alien language, followed by words in broken English. "Humans, surrender. Earth is ours now. Resistance is over. Obey and live." Kian shivered. The voice was everywhere, bouncing off the walls, filling every corner of the ruined city. The people in the basement stayed still, holding their breath until the sound faded. Then came another noise. Soft at first, like a low rumble far away. "What is that?" a woman whispered. "Thunder?" Someone guessed. But there were no clouds. The sky, seen through the cracked window above, was clear and full of stars. Kian crawled toward the window, ignoring his mother's warning. He pressed his face against the cold glass. "It's lights," he said. "Up there." The others crowded close. Far above, streaks of fire were cutting through the night. At first, they looked like meteors, but they were moving too fast. And they were getting bigger. "That's not natural," the older man muttered. His voice shook. "That's Sudden shriek cut him off, not from a person, but from the alien drones outside. Their red lights began flashing wildly. A deep alarm echoed across the city. "They've spotted something." A man hissed. The rumbling grew louder. The streaks of fire became shapes, black shadows wrapped in flames falling from the sky. They weren't meteors. They were people or machines. No one could tell. Kian's heart pounded. "They're coming here," he whispered. The aliens knew it too. In the main street, the enemy soldiers gathered, weapons glowing with blue energy. The air crackled with static. The civilians in the basement could hear the commander shouting orders in that strange, sharp language. Then, impact. The ground shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. Somewhere nearby, something massive had landed. The candle flickered and almost went out. "Stay down." Kian's mother pulled him close, but the boy's eyes were wide. He could hear heavy steps. Outside, not the thin, clicking steps of the aliens. These were heavier, slower, like boots on stone. There was also another sound. Like a deep hum of power from the street came the alien commander's voice, sharp and angry. "Identify yourselves. This planet is under—" A loud crash interrupted him. A wall somewhere outside exploded, and a roar of fire followed. Screams, alien screams, tore through the night. Kian's breath caught. "Something's fighting them," he said. The people in the basement listened. They could hear metal clashing, energy blasts, and the deep thud of explosions. It was chaos, but it wasn't the chaos of humans being hunted. It was the chaos of the hunters being hunted. The older man moved toward the basement door. "I have to see." "Don't." A woman hissed, but he ignored her. He opened the door just a little and peeked out. What he saw made him freeze. In the middle of the street stood a figure taller than any human. It was wearing heavy black armor, glowing with streaks of blue light. Its helmet hid its face, but the shape, the way it moved, felt human. In one hand it held a weapon that fired bursts of light so bright, the alien drones dropped from the sky like stones. Another figure landed beside it, falling from above like a comet. The impact cracked the street. Both turned, scanning for threats, moving like they had trained for this their whole lives. "They're soldiers," the older man whispered. "Our soldiers." Before anyone could speak, another explosion rocked the street. An alien walker, a massive machine with 4 legs, charged toward the armored humans. Its guns lit up, firing rapid blasts. The lead warrior didn't move back. He charged straight at it. At the last moment, he leaped, slamming onto the machine's head. Sparks and smoke burst from its joints as he tore through it with some kind of glowing blade. The walker stumbled, then collapsed, its legs folding. Under its weight, inside the basement, Kian's mother covered his eyes. "Don't look," but Kian pushed her hand away. "They're winning," he said. And he was right. The alien soldiers, once feared, were falling back. Their drones were burning in the streets. The red lights that had ruled the night were being replaced by the cold, steady blue glow of the human warriors. One of the armored figures turned toward the basement. For a moment, Kian thought it might attack. But instead, it lifted its helmet slightly, just enough to show human eyes. The warrior pointed to the sky, then spoke in a deep, steady voice. "You're safe now." Before anyone could respond, the warrior moved on, joining the others as they pushed the aliens back. The basement erupted into whispers. "They came back for us. I thought Earth was gone. Maybe we can win." Outside, the battle raged on. More fire streaks fell from the sky, reinforcements. The city of Darwin, silent for so long, was now filled with the sound of war. But for the first time in years, that sound wasn't fear. It was hope. Kian looked at his mother. "You said no one would come," he said softly. She pulled him close. "I was wrong." And somewhere above, beyond the clouds, more shapes were falling. Earth's warriors, raining down from the skies. The streets of Darwin were no longer silent. Smoke curled into the night sky, glowing faintly under the blue lights of the armored warriors. The scent of burning metal and ozone hung in the air. Somewhere in the distance, a building collapsed. With a heavy crash from the basement window, Kian couldn't take his eyes off the strange soldiers. They moved like shadows, swift and silent, but every step shook the ground. Their black armor gleamed under the faint starlight, streaked with glowing blue lines that pulsed like living veins. "They're human," the older man whispered again, as if saying it twice would make it real. "I know it." "They don't look human," a woman replied. "Not anymore." Before anyone could argue, the night sky flashed white. More fire streaks came down through the clouds, faster than before. The sound followed a second later, a deep, rolling thunder that made the walls tremble. Kian's mother grabbed his shoulders. "Stay back," but Kian shook his head. "It's them, more of them." The alien soldiers in the streets moved in formation, their weapons pointed upward. The commander barked sharp orders, his 4 long arms slicing the air with fast motions. Then, without warning, the alien line split, as if they were bracing for something big. From above, new figures crashed down, smashing into the ground hard enough to crack the street. Dust exploded into the air. Kian could barely see shapes moving inside the cloud. Then the shapes stepped forward, tall and heavy, with the same glowing blue light running across their armor. But there was something different about these ones. Their armor was bulkier, the blue glow brighter. And each of them carried a massive weapon shaped like a spear, but the tip hummed with a low, dangerous sound. The alien commander roared an order. The soldiers opened fire. Blue and red energy blasts filled the air, crossing in every direction. The humans moved quickly, dodging some blasts, blocking others with glowing shields that appeared from their wrists. One of the new arrivals spun his spear, the tip crackling with light. He hurled it at an alien drone in the air, and the spear didn't just hit it, it exploded, sending the drone crashing into 3 more. The civilians in the basement stared, their fear mixing with shock. "They're unstoppable," someone whispered. "Don't be so sure," the older man said grimly. "The aliens, they're not running yet." He was right. The alien commander wasn't retreating. He was waiting. Suddenly, a high-pitched hum cut through the battle. From behind the alien lines, 3 large war machines stepped forward. Each stood on 2 thick legs, their bodies like giant armored shells, with rotating cannons on their shoulders. Their eyes glowed a cold yellow. One of the civilians gasped. "Heavy walkers." The warriors didn't slow down. 2 of them broke away from the fight and sprinted toward the walkers, their steps leaving deep dents in the road. The walkers fired, their cannons lighting the street with rapid bursts. One blast hit a warrior in the side, sending him crashing. Through a wall, he didn't get up. Kian's heart sank. They can be hurt. The other warrior reached the first walker and leapt, driving a glowing blade into the machine's head. Sparks showered the street as the walker shook violently, trying to throw him off. Another blast from the second walker caught him in the chest, knocking him back hard. For a moment, it seemed the aliens might win. Then a shadow passed over the street. Something huge moved in the sky, silent, fast, and dark. It didn't have the clumsy shape of a drone or the heavy bulk of a ship. It was sleek, sharp, and glowing faintly with the same blue light as the warriors. The alien commander looked up and froze. With a roar of engines, the craft swooped low, opening a side hatch. 2 more warriors leapt out mid-air, dropping straight into the middle of the alien formation. The moment they landed, the air filled with blinding flashes. The aliens fell back, screaming, as their weapons were sliced apart like paper. Inside the basement, Kian's mother gripped his arm tightly. "We need to leave while they're distracted." "No," Kian said quickly. "If we go now, we'll get caught in the crossfire." The older man nodded. "The boy's right. We wait until they push the aliens back." But as they spoke, the battle took another turn. From the shadows at the far end of the street, a group of alien soldiers appeared, not the usual kind. These ones wore black armor with silver marks across their faces, and they moved faster, smoother. Each carried a long weapon that glowed with a dangerous, pulsing light. "They've sent their elite," the older man whispered. "The elite didn't attack head-on. They spread out, surrounding the human warriors. Moving almost in silence, they struck from the sides, their glowing blades clashing against the blue light of the warrior's armor. Sparks flew as metal met energy. One elite alien darted behind a warrior and stabbed deep into the gaps in his armor. The warrior fell, his blue light fading. Kian swallowed hard. "They're killing them." But the human leader taller than the rest, with armor marked by a white stripe down the center, raised his hand. A faint blue mist spread from his armor into the air. The elite aliens slowed, their movements heavy, as if the air itself was pulling them back. In that frozen moment, the warriors struck. The blue glow of their weapons flared brighter than before. Every swing and thrust was faster, sharper. In seconds, half the elite were down. The rest scattered, disappearing into the ruins. The alien commander roared again, this time in anger. But before he could rally his troops, one of the bulky warriors stepped forward. He planted his spear into the ground, and the blue energy ran down the weapon into the street. The ground split open, sending a wave of force that knocked the aliens off their feet. The commander stumbled, looking up in rage, and saw the leader of the human warriors standing right in front of him. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then the commander swung his weapon, and the warrior blocked it with one hand. The other hand punched forward, striking the alien so hard he was thrown back into his own soldiers. The battle was over. The aliens pulled back, dragging the wounded commander with them. The heavy walkers were burning wrecks. The street was littered with alien weapons, shattered drones, and the smell of smoke. The civilians in the basement didn't wait. The older man pushed the door open, leading them outside. One of the warriors turned toward them. His helmet retracted, revealing a human face, tired, scarred, but unmistakably alive. "You're safe now," he said simply. Then he turned and walked away, joining the others as they vanished into the shadows between the buildings. Kian stepped into the street, staring after them. They came from the sky, like shadows. His mother put a hand on his shoulder. "And maybe they'll come again." But far above them, in the black sky, faint lights were moving, not blue this time, but red. And they were coming fast. This part keeps the battle momentum, introduces new enemy types, gives a close-up look at the warriors, and ends with a hint of a bigger threat coming next. The night in Darwin was far from over. The streets were still glowing faintly with smoke and the soft blue light of the warriors' armor. Burnt alien machines lay scattered like broken toys. The humans who had been hiding for years now stood cautiously in the open, staring at the strange soldiers who had fallen from the sky. Kian couldn't stop watching them. They moved quickly, checking every street and alley, their heads turning sharply at any sound. They weren't just fighting, they were hunting. One of the warriors, his armor scratched and dented from battle, approached a group of survivors. "Stay together," he said in a deep, steady voice. "We'll keep this zone clear until you're evacuated." A woman stepped forward. "Evacuated? To where? There's no safe place left." The warrior didn't answer directly. "There. We'll be soon." Kian's mother whispered to the older man beside her. "They talk like they already have a plan." The older man nodded. "Maybe they do. Maybe this isn't just a rescue. Maybe it's the start of something bigger." Before they could say more, a sound like a deep drumbeat echoed from the distance. The warriors froze. One of them spoke quickly into a device on his arm. "What is that?" Kian asked. The warrior turned his helmeted head toward him. "Enemy reinforcements." Far above, the clouds glowed red as dozens of alien dropships descended. Their engines screamed in the night, making windows shake. The leader of the warriors raised his hand. "Positions." He ordered. In an instant, the soldiers spread out, taking cover behind rubble and overturned vehicles. Their weapons glowed brighter, and the air around them seemed to vibrate with energy. Kian's heart pounded. "They're outnumbered," he whispered. The older man's eyes narrowed. "Maybe, but they're not afraid." The first alien dropship landed in the main square, its doors opening with a hiss. Tall alien soldiers poured out, armed with long rifles and glowing blades. More ships followed, surrounding the streets from every side. The alien commander from before, still injured but alive, stepped forward. His voice was amplified, echoing across the square. "You think you can take back this planet? You are too few. You will be crushed." The human leader replied calmly, his voice cutting through the night. "We're not here to take back the planet tonight. Just this city." Before the alien could respond, the warriors struck. A sudden wave of blue light burst from their weapons, arcing across the square like lightning. Alien rifles overloaded and exploded in their owners' hands. Warriors dashed forward, moving so fast they blurred, striking down enemies before they could react. The aliens tried to regroup, but the humans were relentless. One warrior slid under a blast of energy, slicing through an alien's armor with a glowing blade. Another vaulted onto a dropship, tearing open its engine with bare hands. The civilians watched from the ruins, torn between fear and awe. Kian's mother gripped his shoulder. "Stay behind me," but Kian couldn't look away. "They're winning," he said, again. Yet something was wrong. The alien commander wasn't retreating this time. He was stalling. His gaze kept flicking to the sky, as if waiting for something. The answer came moments later. From the clouds, a massive shadow emerged, not a dropship, but a colossal warship. Its underside glowed with swirling red energy. It moved slowly, deliberately, like a predator closing in on prey. The leader of the warriors saw it too. "They're calling in an orbital cannon," he growled. "If that fires, the city's gone. One of his soldiers spoke urgently. "We can't take that thing down from here. We'll need to go up there." The leader nodded once. Then, "We go." Without hesitation, 4 of the warriors activated thrusters on their armor. Blue flames erupted from their backs, lifting them into the air. They shot upward toward the massive ship, weaving between streams of enemy fire. The battle below raged on, but the civilians' eyes followed the figures climbing higher and higher toward the red glowing monster in the sky. Kian whispered, "Will they make it?" No one answered. Above, the warriors reached the ship's lower hull. Explosions flashed as they tore through enemy defenses. The alien warship shuddered, its cannons still charging. On the ground, the alien commander suddenly roared, "An order!" Several dropships broke away from the fight and lifted off, chasing the humans into the clouds. One by one, bright flashes lit the sky. 2 of the blue lights winked out. The civilians gasped. They didn't all make it, the older man said quietly, but the leader's light still burned. A moment later, a shockwave ripped through the air as part of the alien warship exploded. The red glow of the cannon dimmed, then died. Cheers erupted from the human survivors, but it was too soon to celebrate. The alien commander still had troops on the ground, and with the sky battle over, they charged forward with renewed fury. The warriors on the street fought with everything they had. One of them, wounded and staggering, still managed to pull 2 civilians to safety before collapsing. Kian watched the leader land hard in the square, his armor scorched and cracked. He faced the alien commander again. "This city isn't yours anymore," the leader said. The alien let out a harsh laugh. "You think you've won? We will burn this place to ash before we give it to you." Then, in a move no one expected, the alien commander activated a device on his arm. A deep rumble shook the ground, and the street beneath them began to crack. "What is he doing?" Kian shouted. The older man's face went pale. "Self-destruct. He's going to destroy the entire district." The leader lunged forward, tackling the alien before he could press the second switch. They hit the ground hard, rolling across broken pavement. Sparks flew as their weapons clashed. It was a brutal, close fight. Claws against armored fists, blade against blade. The alien was stronger, but the leader was faster. At the last second, the leader drove his glowing blade deep into the alien's chest. The commander let out a sharp, guttural sound and went still. The device on his arm sparked and went dead. Silence fell over the square, broken only by the hiss of burning wreckage. The civilians slowly stepped out from their hiding places. The warriors stood tall, weapons lowered. Kian's mother pulled him close. "It's over." But the leader of the warriors shook his head. "No, this was only the first strike. They'll be back." Kian looked up at him. "And you'll be here too, right?" The leader's helmet hid his face, but his voice was steady. "We'll always come back." High above, the remains of the alien warship drifted into the darkness, glowing faintly as they burned. The first strike had been made, and the real war was only beginning. The first light of dawn crept over Darwin, revealing a city scarred by fire and battle. Thick black smoke curled into the pale morning sky, and the air still carried the scent of burnt metal. The warriors who had fallen from the sky stood in silence at the edge of the main square, watching the horizon. They had won the night, but the war was not over. Kian stood beside his mother and the other survivors. He had barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the blue lights of the warriors clashing with the red fire of the aliens. The leader of the warriors stepped forward. His armor was cracked and blackened in places, but his presence still made the crowd fall. "Silent. We held the city through the night," he said. "But the enemy will come again, stronger. We need to prepare." A man in the crowd called out, "Prepare? With what? We have no weapons." The leader's gaze swept over the civilians. "You have more than you think. You have numbers. You have the will to fight. We can teach you. A ripple of uneasy murmurs passed through the survivors. Some looked afraid, others determined. The older man who had been with Kian's group stepped forward. You train us, we fight. But you have to promise we won't be left behind. The leader nodded once. No one gets left behind. The warriors moved quickly. They split into smaller teams, assigning each group of civilians to one soldier. Old tools were reshaped into weapons, steel pipes, broken drone parts, even sharpened pieces of rubble. Some warriors handed out small energy pistols taken from fallen aliens. Kian's mother was given a weapon too, though she hesitated to. Take it. I've never fired anything like this, she admitted. You will, her assigned warrior said simply. And when the time comes, you'll hit your target. Hours passed as the city's ruins echoed with training shouts and the clang of improvised weapons. Kian was small, but quick. His warrior taught him how to move silently through rubble and broken walls. You're not a soldier, the warrior told him. You're a shadow. Use speed, not strength. By midday, a distant rumble broke the rhythm of training. Everyone stopped. The ground trembled. One of the warriors scanned. The horizon. They're here. The sound grew louder, not the sharp roar of dropships, but a deep, rolling thunder. Over the far ridge came the first alien machine, a towering walker, much larger than the ones from the night before. Its legs crushed debris beneath them, and its heavy cannon swept side to side. Behind it came two more, flanked by squads of alien soldiers. The leader's voice cut through the rising panic. Positions. Civilians scrambled into the places they had been shown, hiding behind rubble, doorways, and overturned vehicles. Warriors took point, their blue armor bright in the gray daylight. The first cannon blast came without warning, tearing apart what was left of a nearby building. The shockwave knocked Kian to the ground. Dust filled the air, making it hard to see Kian. His mother shouted, grabbing his arm and pulling him to cover. The warriors struck first, rushing forward in coordinated bursts. Blue energy blasts lit the street, striking the walkers' joints and alien soldiers' armor. Civilians followed behind, throwing improvised explosives and firing captured pistols. The battle was chaos. One walker turned its cannon toward a cluster of fighters, but before it could fire, a civilian ran out from hiding and hurled a charge directly onto its leg joint. The explosion ripped through metal, making the massive machine stagger. Kian saw it happen and felt a spark of hope. We can do this, he shouted. But the aliens were adapting. From the rear lines, strange cylindrical devices were launched into the city. When they hit, they released thick black clouds that swallowed streets in darkness. Warriors' blue lights glowed faintly inside the smoke, but visibility was almost gone. Inside the haze, the aliens moved like predators. They struck from the dark, their glowing blades cutting through confusion and panic. Kian found himself separated from his mother. He ducked behind a wall, heart pounding, listening to footsteps approach. A shadow moved through the smoke, tall, armed and fast. Before it could reach him, a warrior stepped between them. His blade flared bright blue as it clashed with the alien's weapon. Sparks danced in the air. The warrior shouted over his shoulder, "Go, find your unit." Kian ran, weaving through broken streets until he stumbled into the older man. "You're with me now," the man said, pulling Kian toward a defensive line. Elsewhere, the leader of the warriors was locked in a fight with one of the walkers. He leapt onto its side, slicing through cables and tearing panels away. The walker's cannon swiveled toward him, charging. With a burst of speed, he drove his blade deep into the weapon's core. The explosion was deafening, sending the massive machine crashing onto its side. Cheers erupted, but they were short. Lived. From the far end of the battlefield came a new sound, high-pitched and piercing. The smoke parted, revealing a massive alien tank-like vehicle with a rotating energy cannon. It fired once, and an entire building collapsed into rubble. The leader spoke quickly into his comm. "We can't let that weapon fire again. All units, focus on the tank." Warriors and civilians surged forward together. Some used grappling hooks to climb its sides. Others fired explosives at its tracks. Kian's mother, face pale but steady, took aim with her pistol and fired at the glowing vents on its rear. The shot hit true. The vent erupted in flames. The tank's aim wavered, giving the warriors a chance to strike. In seconds, the massive machine was a burning wreck. The aliens began to fall back. Without their heavy weapons, their formation broke. Warriors pressed forward, pushing them toward the city's edge. When the last alien soldier fell, the battlefield was silent except for the crackle of fire and the low groans of the wounded. Kian found his mother, throwing his arms around her. "We did it," he said breathlessly. She held him tight. "We all did it." The leader of the warriors walked through the ruins, his armor blackened but his voice steady. "You fought well," he told the civilians. "You fought like warriors." The older man stepped forward. "What happens now?" The leader looked to the horizon. "Now we prepare for the next fight, because they will not stop, and neither will we." Above them, the first rays of full sunlight broke through the smoke, lighting the city in gold. For the first time in years, Darwin stood free, not because the warriors came alone, but because the people had stood beside them. The day after the battle, Darwin felt strangely quiet. The fires had been put out and the smoke had thinned, but no one felt safe. People worked together, clearing debris and tending to the wounded. But every glance toward the horizon carried the same silent question. When will they come back? Kian sat on a broken wall with the older man who had fought beside him. "Do you think they're gone?" Kian asked. The man shook his head. "No, they've lost here, but they'll come again. And they won't make the same mistake twice." Far above, the warriors' small dropships patrolled the skies. From one of them, the leader spoke to his second-in-command. "Scan the surrounding area. I want to know what's moving out there before it reaches us." Minutes later, the reply came through his comm. "We've got movement, large signatures. Too large to be standard walkers." The leader's expression darkened. "How many?" "3, no. 4, wait. There's something bigger, much bigger." Back in the city, the news spread quickly. The warriors gathered the civilians in the main square. The leader stood before them, his voice steady, but urgent. "The enemy is returning. This time they bring a weapon we have not seen before. A fortress on legs. It can destroy an entire city in minutes." Murmurs filled the crowd. Kian's mother gripped her son's shoulder. "A fortress?" she whispered. The leader nodded. "It is heavily armed, heavily shielded, and it will not stop. We have one chance to stop it before it reaches the city." The older man spoke up. "Then we take the fight to them." "That's the plan," the leader said. "We strike before dawn, when their sensors are weakest." Warriors and civilians. Together, this is not a battle we can win by defense alone. That night, the city moved like a shadow. Warriors checked weapons, civilians prepared explosives, and scouts moved out ahead of the group. Kian, though young, had been chosen to help guide the team through the ruins outside the city, where he knew every broken street and collapsed building. As they moved through the darkness, the ground began to tremble. Distant lights glowed against the horizon, cold, mechanical, and moving steadily toward them. From the top of a ruined tower, the scouts saw it first. The fortress was massive, its legs taller than most buildings, its central body bristling with cannons and missile pods. The alien insignia glowed faintly across its black metal surface. Around it marched smaller walkers and squads of alien soldiers, like guards escorting a king. One of the warriors cursed under his breath. That thing could crush the city in less than an hour. The leader spoke quietly into his com. Teams in position, wait for my signal. The plan was dangerous. Destroy the fortress's power core, hidden deep inside, before it could reach Darwin. But to do that, they had to get past its guards and inside the massive machine dot. As the fortress moved closer, a sudden shriek split the air. A flare shot into the sky, bright red. They've spotted us. A warrior shouted. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Alien soldiers surged forward, firing blasts that lit the ruins in red light. Warriors met them head-on, blades flashing, while civilians took cover and fired from the shadows. Kian and the older man ducked behind a collapsed wall. Stay low, the man told him, and follow me. They ran through the debris, heading for one of the fortress's legs. The closer they got, the more enormous it seemed. Each step of its leg sent a shockwave through the ground. Above the noise, the leader's voice rang out. Breach team, move in. A group of warriors fired grappling hooks, pulling themselves up onto the fortress's armored side. Energy shields flared as they landed, deflecting alien fire. One by one, they cut through the armor with glowing blades. But just as the first breach opened, the fortress responded. Panels slid open along its sides, revealing rows of small drones. They swarmed into the air, moving like a cloud of metal insects, their weapons sparking with deadly light. They've got aerial drones, a warrior shouted. The sky became a storm of fire. Warriors tried to shoot the drones down, but for every one that fell, two more seemed to appear. Inside the chaos, Kian saw an opening, a maintenance hatch near the base of one leg. It was small, almost hidden, and the aliens were too focused on the main attack to guard it. He tugged on the older man's sleeve. There, we can get inside. The man hesitated for only a second before nodding. Go, they ran to the hatch, blasts striking the ground around them. Kian pulled at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The older man slammed a metal rod into the seam and forced it open. They slipped inside, closing it behind them. The inside of the fortress was a maze of dark metal corridors, filled with the hum of massive engines. Shadows stretched along the walls, and somewhere deep inside, the sound of heavy machinery echoed like a heartbeat. Which way? The man asked. Kian pointed toward a faint glow ahead. That way. They moved quickly but carefully, ducking into side passages whenever alien patrols passed by. Twice, they had to hide behind large power conduits as soldiers walked past. Finally, they reached a chamber at the fortress's center. In the middle stood the power core, a huge sphere of blue light, suspended by thick cables and surrounded by control panels. The older man stared. That's it. That's the heart. They placed the explosives just as the leader had instructed. But before they could set the final charge, a sound came from behind them, slow, deliberate footsteps. A tall alien commander stepped into the light, his armor gleaming. He raised his weapon. You do not belong here, he said in a deep, distorted voice. The older man stepped in front of Kian. Run! Kian froze. The alien moved faster than he expected, slashing his weapon toward them. The older man blocked it with the metal rod, but the force knocked him to the ground. Before the alien could strike again, a blast of blue light hit him from the side. The leader of the warriors stepped into the room, his blade glowing. Finish the charges, he shouted. Key in single quotes as hands shook as he armed the final explosive. The leader fought the alien commander, their weapons clashing in a storm of sparks. When the last charge was set, Kian shouted, "Done!" The leader grabbed him and pulled him toward the exit. The older man limped after them. They ran through the fortress's corridors, alarms screaming all around them. They burst out of the hatch just as the first explosion tore through the machine. One after another, blasts ripped along its sides, and the blue light of the power core flared brighter. and brighter until it collapsed in on itself with a deafening roar. The fortress shuddered, its legs folding as it sank to the ground. The alien soldiers broke ranks, retreating into the darkness. On the battlefield, the warriors and civilians let out a cheer. The leader stood beside Kian and the older man, watching the burning wreck. "You were brave," he told them. Kian smiled. Weakly, "We just didn't want to lose our home." The leader nodded, "And because of that, we didn't." As dawn broke over the ruins, Darvin still stood, battered, scarred, but alive. And for the first time, the people believed they could win, no matter what came next. The night sky burned red as the alien mothership floated above the city, a massive shadow with lights like cold eyes. Its hum filled the air, deep and threatening, as if the entire planet could feel it. On the streets below, the warriors of Earth stood in the ruins, staring up at their target. The commander, a tall figure in black and steel armor, spoke through the comms in a calm but firm voice. "This is it. We stop that weapon, or we lose everything." A younger warrior, his visor glowing blue, swallowed hard. "How long before they fire?" "Minutes," the commander replied. "We won't get a second chance." The ground shook as the mothership's energy core began to glow brighter. Beams of alien light sliced through the clouds. From the city's edge, terrified, civilians watched, whispering prayers. Children clung to their parents. No one knew if they would live to see the sunrise. The commander raised a fist. "Jetpacks now." In a flash of blue fire, the warriors launched into the air. Their armored suits roared against the wind as they shot upward toward the enemy ship. The city lights fell away beneath them, replaced by the cold glow of the alien behemoth. Suddenly, streaks of green plasma tore through the sky. Alien fighters had been waiting. "Incoming!" someone shouted. The formation broke apart as the warriors dodged the fire. One was hit in the leg and spun out of control, but another grabbed him mid-fall, boosting back upward. "They're trying to split us," a warrior called over comms. "Stay on me." The commander ordered, "Shields up, move." They blasted through the cloud layer, where the mothership loomed even larger. Alien fighter ships darted like wasps, their sleek black shapes glowing with deadly light. The warriors returned fire, their pulse cannons spitting blue streaks. One fighter exploded, lighting the clouds in orange, but there were too many. "We won't last at this distance." The young warrior shouted. The commander's voice came cold and certain. "Then we get closer. Break their shield." As they approached, a shimmering blue field rippled across the mothership's surface. Bullets and plasma bounced harmlessly. "Away." "That's new," one warrior muttered. The commander pulled a small device from his belt. "Not for long." He threw it forward, a glowing sphere that exploded in a silent wave of light. The shield flickered, cracked, then vanished in a burst of sparks. "That's our door." "Go!" They surged forward, dodging the wreckage of burning alien ships. The hull of the mothership was smooth and black, broken only by glowing vents and strange alien symbols. Magnetic boots clicked on as they landed. The younger warrior breathed heavily. "Feels too easy." "It's not," the commander replied. "They know we're here." As if on cue, panels on the hull opened and alien soldiers crawled out. Tall, armored in bone-like plating with 4 glowing eyes. They moved fast, weapons already aimed. The battle on the ship's skin was chaos. Blades clashed against armor, plasma hissed through the air, and the hum of the mothership's core grew louder with every second. One warrior was nearly thrown into the void before another grabbed his arm and pulled him back. "They're stalling us," the commander growled. "They want time for the weapon to charge." "We need to get inside." The commander fired at a circular hatch. It blew apart, revealing a dark corridor lit by pale green light. "Move." They rushed inside. The air was strange, warm, thick, and buzzing with energy. The walls were covered in living cables that pulsed like veins. The sound of the core was deafening now, like a massive heartbeat. The young warrior glanced around. "Feels like the ship's alive. Focus," the commander warned. "Core rooms ahead." As they ran, alien guards dropped from the ceiling, blocking the path. The warriors fought, but inside the narrow corridors, there was no room for jetpack bursts or long shots. It was brutal hand-to-hand combat, armor clashing, metal screeching, and the sharp smell of burning alien flesh. When the last one fell, the commander pointed ahead. There. They entered a massive chamber. In the center, suspended by glowing cables, was the core, a sphere of pure white energy, so bright it hurt to look at. Around it, alien engineers worked frantically, their long fingers dancing across controls. Above them, a countdown was projected in alien script, but the meaning was clear. Less than 3 minutes remained. The commander threw down his pack. "Plant the charge here. This will overload the core." As the younger warrior began setting the device, a deep, guttural voice echoed through the chamber. "Earth's children, you come only to die." From the shadows stepped an alien far. Larger than the others, its armor black and edged with gold. 4 massive arms gripped 2 plasma spears. Its eyes glowed like fire. The commander faced him. "Then let's make it worth it." The alien roared, and the final fight began. The young warrior barely finished arming the explosive before the alien leader was upon them. Sparks flew as weapons clashed, each strike shaking the floor. The commander's armor took blow after blow, but he stood firm. "Charge is set." The young warrior shouted, "Then go." The commander yelled back, "I'm not leaving you. That's an order." But the alien leader smashed the young warrior aside, sending him skidding across the floor. The commander tackled the alien, both of them crashing against the core's glowing cables. The timer hit 30 seconds. "Move!" The commander shouted again. The young warrior, limping, ran toward the exit. Behind him, the clash of metal grew louder, then stopped with a sickening crunch. He reached the hatch just as the entire chamber turned white with light. The blast ripped through the mothership. Explosions tore its skin apart, and fire spread. Into the night sky, the young warrior was thrown out into open space, his suit's thrusters kicking in automatically. He tumbled through smoke and burning wreckage until the city's lights appeared below. He landed hard on the streets, gasping. Above him, the mothership split in half, raining debris like falling stars. People cheered, but the young warrior's visor dimmed. His commander hadn't made it back. The night was won, but at a cost. And far above, in the dark beyond the stars, other shadows began to move. The city was quiet, but the silence felt wrong. The battle above had left Darwin in ruins, yet the people could finally breathe. Kian wandered through the streets, checking on survivors, though his mind kept drifting to the commander. The hero of the last strike had not returned, and a heavy weight settled over him. Kian's mother found him leaning against a broken wall. "You've been quiet," she said. "Are you thinking about him?" Kian nodded. "He saved us all, and now he's gone." Her hand rested on his shoulder. "Then we honor him by staying strong." That's what he would want. Across the city, the remaining warriors gathered, looking up at the sky. Their suits were scratched and scorched, but they were alive. One of them, a young pilot, spoke nervously. "Do you think they're done?" The leader, standing tall despite his missing comrade, shook his head. "No, they never are. The enemy has bigger plans. That mothership, it was just a scout." "What do you mean?" A civilian asked, stepping forward. "There's a weapon being built," the leader said quietly. "Something massive. Something that could wipe out the entire planet if we don't stop it." The crowd shivered. Kian's mother clutched his hand. "Then we fight," she whispered. The leader nodded. "We don't have a choice. We strike before they can finish it." That night, the team prepared. Civilians were trained to operate the remaining alien tech, while warriors recalibrated weapons and scanned the skies for threats. Kian was assigned to a small reconnaissance unit, tasked with infiltrating the alien construction site. The journey was tense. The streets outside the city were dark, ruined, and unfamiliar, yet Kian moved with purpose. The older man accompanied him, carrying a small energy rifle. "Keep your eyes open," the man said. "They've learned from our last strike." Kian nodded. "I won't let anything happen to you." They reached the edge of a crater, enormous, blackened, and filled with strange alien machines. The weapon they had heard about loomed above. Massive and half-built. Cables hung like tentacles, pulsing with light, and alien soldiers patrolled in tight formations. From the shadows, the leader's voice came through coms. "We split into 2 teams. You and the older man take the north side. Disable the power grids. I'll lead the main attack from the south." Kian swallowed hard. "Understood." They crept forward, sticking to the shadows. Every step was measured, every sound amplified in the silence. One wrong move could alert the aliens. Suddenly, a squad of alien soldiers rounded a corner. The older man grabbed Kian, pressing him against a wall. The soldiers passed, unaware, their glowing eyes scanning the area. "That was close," Kian whispered. "Too close," the older man muttered. "Keep moving." They reached the power grid, a series of enormous panels glowing with alien energy. Kian set the explosives while the older man kept watch. Just as the last charge was secured, an alarm blared. Red lights bathed the area. "They saw us!" Kian shouted. Alien soldiers poured in from all sides. The older man fired his rifle, taking down 2 before running out of ammo. Kian grabbed a fallen weapon and joined the fight. The battle was frantic. Sparks flew, and the air was thick with the smell of scorched metal. Through the chaos, Kian remembered the plan. "Charge the grid!" he yelled. The older man nodded, pressing the activation sequence. The explosives detonated in a brilliant flash, cutting the energy to the massive weapon. Panels flickered, cables sparked, and the enormous construct shuddered. But the aliens were relentless. From above, a drop pod slammed into the crater, scattering debris. A tall alien commander emerged, its armor glinting in the firelight. It raised a massive energy staff. "You cannot win," it said in a deep, echoing voice. The older man raised his rifle. "We've already won something today. Now we finish it." The fight was brutal. The alien staff sent arcs of energy across the crater. Kian ducked behind debris, returning fire whenever he could. Sparks and smoke swirled around them, making it hard to see. Suddenly, a massive shadow moved over the crater. The leader of the warriors had arrived with reinforcements. Blue lights flashed across the battlefield as the warriors struck from all sides. "Push them back!" the leader shouted. The alien commander roared and swung its staff at the leader. Their weapons collided with a deafening crack. The impact sent shockwaves through the ground. Kian saw an opening. "Now!" he yelled. To the older man, they activated the final explosives planted in the grids. A massive explosion rocked the crater. Alien soldiers were thrown back, the commander staggered, and the weapon trembled. Through the dust and smoke, the leader stood tall, his armor glowing faintly from residual energy. "It's not over," he warned, scanning the battlefield. Then, unexpectedly, the weapon emitted a blinding white light. The ground shook violently. The aliens screamed, retreating to their ship. Civilians and warriors alike were thrown off their feet. When the light faded, the weapon was silent, destroyed. The alien command structure had collapsed. Silence fell. Over the crater, Kian gasped for air, helping the older man to his feet. "We did it. We really did it." The leader approached, looking at the young boy and the older man. "You were brave. More than I could have asked for." Today, the planet is safe because of people like you." Kian smiled weakly. "But, the commander," the leader's eyes were somber. "Some battles have a cost, but this is only the beginning. We must rebuild, train, and be ready. They will return." From the horizon, smoke rose from alien ships retreating to the depths of space. For now, Earth's warriors had won. But the shadows beyond the stars promised a new threat, one that would challenge every human and warrior alike. Kian looked. Up at the night sky, the stars glowing faintly through the clouds of smoke. "We're ready," he whispered. His mother, standing beside him, squeezed his hand. "Yes, we are." And for the first time in years, hope did not feel fragile. It felt unstoppable. The horizon burned red again, but this time it wasn't just the rising sun. Thousands of alien ships cut through the clouds, black and shining with menace. Their numbers were far beyond anything the warriors had seen before. Darwin's ruined skyline trembled as the fleet approached. Kian stood beside the leader, his armor patched but functional. Around them, civilians and warriors prepared weapons, reinforced barricades, and set traps. The air smelled of smoke, metal, and tension. "They've come for everything," Kian whispered. The leader's eyes were cold and steady. "Then we fight for everything." The city erupted into action. Warriors took to the skies in their jetpacks, civilians moved to cover, and every energy cannon and improvised weapon was aimed at the incoming fleet. The first wave hit, sending explosions across the outskirts. Alien soldiers stormed forward, but humans and warriors met them head-on. Kian dashed through a broken street, guiding a group of civilians to safety. "Stay low, keep moving." One of the civilians, a young woman, stumbled. "I can't run." Kian grabbed her arm. "Yes, you can. Follow me." They dove into a ruined building just as alien blasters tore through the street behind them. Sparks flew and walls collapsed. Kian's heart pounded, but he kept moving, always thinking of the people behind him dot above the city. The warriors engaged the alien ships in a furious battle. Blue energy streaked across the sky, clashing with green alien fire. Jetpacks zipped. Between explosions and the hum of weapons filled the air. The leader fought at the front, taking down multiple fighters at once. Suddenly, a shadow loomed. The largest alien ship yet descended toward the city, a massive, fortress-like vessel, bristling with energy cannons. Its presence made the air tremble. "They've brought the mothership back." One warrior shouted. "It's not just back," the leader said grimly. "It's upgraded. Its core is stronger. If it fires, the city is gone." Kian's stomach twisted. "Then what do we do?" "We go inside," the leader said. "We stop it at its heart." A group of warriors, including Kian and the older man, prepared for the infiltration. Jetpacks fired, and they soared toward the massive ship. Alien defenses opened fire immediately. Plasma bolts tore through the clouds, some missing, some striking dangerously close. "Stay close." The older man shouted inside the mothership. Corridors were wider, darker, and alive with alien energy. Lights pulsed along the walls. Alien. Guards patrolled with glowing weapons. Every shadow seemed ready to strike. Kian's hands shook as they moved. "It feels alive," he whispered. "That's why it's dangerous," the leader said. "But we have no choice." They reached the core chamber, a massive sphere of white and blue energy, brighter than anything Kian had ever seen. Alien. Engineers worked frantically, while the countdown to a planet-wide strike ticked down on a massive screen. The leader gestured. "Set the charges. Make them count." Kian and the older man planted explosives along the structural supports. Suddenly, the alien commander from before stepped out of the shadows, taller and more menacing. Its eyes glowed like molten metal. "You dare enter my ship?" It hissed. The leader stepped forward. "We dare because your reign ends today." The alien swung its energy staff. but the warriors blocked and returned attacks in perfect coordination. Sparks and blasts filled the chamber. Civilians outside could see the flashes through observation windows. Kian ducked behind a console, catching his breath. "They're too strong." "No," the older man said, firing at the approaching guards. "We're stronger together." The fight was brutal, each second feeling like hours. Kian saw the countdown. 10 seconds left. "We have to go now," he shouted. The leader nodded. "Run!" They sprinted toward the exit as the charges detonated. The core exploded in a blinding wave of energy. Panels ripped apart, flames erupted, and the ship shuddered violently. Alien soldiers were thrown aside. The commander screamed as the blast tore through its armor. Kian's suit alarm screamed. He fired his thrusters, barely escaping the collapsing structure. Around him, warriors and civilians emerged from the shadows of the ruins, cheering as the mothership cracked and fell into the clouds below. On the ground, the city was battered but alive. Survivors rushed forward to embrace each other. Kian's mother ran into his arms. "You're safe," she cried. Kian hugged her tightly. "We did it. We really did it." The leader appeared, walking among the survivors. His armor was scorched, but his expression was calm and proud. "Today, you proved that humans will never give up. You fought alongside us, and together, we defeated a power that no one thought could be stopped." A cheer erupted across the city. People raised fists, weapons, and hands toward the sky. The alien fleet was retreating, their shadows shrinking into the distance. The older man put a hand on Kian's shoulder. "We've won, for now, but we must stay ready. They'll come back, maybe stronger, but so will we." Kian looked around at the city, at the warriors, and at the people who had stood tall despite fear. "Then we'll be ready," he said. Above them, the first stars of the night appeared through the smoke and clouds. The city glowed in the soft light, battered, scarred, but alive. And for the first time, Kian felt a certainty he had never known. Before, humanity could face the darkness, and it would rise again, stronger, united, and unbroken. The battle was over. The night was silent, and in that silence, hope burned brighter than any weapon in the sky.